Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Simply Renee. My name is Renee, and today I just wanted to discuss keeping New Year's resolutions. Every year, many people end up making New Year's resolutions on things they want to do differently this year that they didn't do the previous year. And it's a good goal to keep in mind because we all have things we want to improve on and things that we could do differently to make those improvements. And it's a struggle. If you've ever seen the show The Office, you may recall an episode called The Ultimatum where they talk about how they failed in their New Year's resolutions and what can they do to get back on track to try and really improve it and keep those resolutions intact. And I think that's a struggle for many people, including myself. I always say that I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to do things differently, but sometimes those things don't always become fulfilled because life gets in the way or something happens where you can't fulfill it or something else goes wrong. And therefore, it creates this whole cycle of, oh, I don't want to do these resolutions or I'm struggling to do them. What can I do differently that's not really working? And I think these are things that I want to try to improve on with New Year's resolutions because the difference between goals and New Year's resolutions is as follows. The definition of a goal is the end toward which effort is directed, such as achieve, accomplish, reach, realize a goal. Whereas the definition for a New Year's resolution is a promise to do something differently in the new year. And this is a basic overall definition which you can pause to look at, but basically the key aspects are a promise, commitment, a firm decision to yourself, and a purpose, which is to stop a bad habit or start a good one, and leading to self improvement. And I think that's very important. A resolution is something of which you want to do differently with a purpose and such like that. And therefore, you really have to focus in on it. It's something I really want to try to do to improve myself because there are things that I could do better in the goals that I want to succeed in my personal life. And one of them is losing weight. And the reason why I want to lose weight is because I really want to get healthy and have a healthy lifestyle, but I also want to make sure I can maintain that so I can do well. I used to work very hard at it, but I haven't really been doing it as much as I should. And some of that comes with factors of life. I get busy or something goes wrong. I took a desk job, which was different from my previous job where I did a lot of standing and walking, and life just got busy. And sometimes it just comes in the way where you can't stick to that goal. So, what can I do differently in order to really improve on that goal and make sure it works for me where I can maintain it and actually reach what I want to reach. So, in terms of losing weight, I don't have a set pound in mind. I actually have a set of what I can do to improve it, which is to drink more water. I don't really drink a ton of water as I should. It's something I had a goal in mind in the summer, but I didn't really fulfill that as much as I should have. And unfortunately, I fell into some bad habits of drinking seltzer water, which technically is water, but it's not exactly great for you. And also the fact that you have habits of a sweet tooth or a salt tooth. Unfortunately, I have a bit of a sweet tooth, so I tend to eat a little more sugar than I should. So these are things that I really have to work and improve on. And how I'm going to do that is by going to the gym 3 times a week instead of 2 times a week. There are classes at my gym that I've been wanting to take for a while and haven't. So now I'm motivated more to go and take those classes, whether it's exercise bike, aerobics, swim, or just yoga. And yoga is something I'm planning to do here at home a little bit more. I want to get up in the morning so that way I can do some yoga, so that way I can feel refreshed and vitalized for the day. So it can actually improve my mood, make me feel a little more glowy as it always does in the past, and be able to really move that. And when I'm at my work, I'm going to make sure that I also do some stretches because I have a desk job. I sit for frequent periods of time and I really want to get myself moving a little bit. And they have their own little exercises online to do this, but I'm going to move around like this, as you see here in my example. And also, I'm going to do some stretches and some walks when I can if it's a nice day out and I'm willing to brave the cold even. And the stretches are just me taking a stretch brand I have, and unfortunately, I don't have it with me. I left it at work as part of motivation. But the stretch band, I'm going to show you an image where it's just taking a stretch. And this is great because it stretches everything out like that as well. So that gives you a little bit of an idea as I sit down. That's going to help me stretch out, feel good, especially after I sit for long hours on a day at a desk. And these are just some of the ideas to lose weight. But one of the things I'm planning to do is just try to get my health in order through eating habits as well, because I think I have been doing pretty well with it. But again, I have a bit of a sweet tooth, so I really need to curb that by not having as much sugar, eating it in moderation, a little bit more portion control. And I'm also going to do intermittent fasting, which is just the 12-12 method. And this is just 12 hours of fasting and 12 hours of eating. Now, to be clear, I want to make sure everyone knows, disclaimer, I'm not an expert. And if you are planning to do any of this, it's best to consult a medical expert or your doctor first beforehand. I have, and she thinks it's fine, but I need to really control it and get those sets in check. And I really need to make sure I consult my doctor first before I actually do anything. So I advise everybody to do that before they take on anything like intermittent fasting, losing weight, or anything like that, just to make sure it's the right path for you and you have all the tools at your disposal. The other one is saving money. And even though I think I'm pretty good at saving money, there are things that I could improve on. I've always been someone who has saved money, never completely splurged too much, but I really need to work on better ways to improve it because I need to really rebuild my emergency fund in the proper way. I want to save a little more for retirement. And even though things are starting to, from at least my neck of the woods in Rhode Island, go down a bit in price, it's not really there yet. So I really need to crunch and make sure I save. I'm going to stick to meal planning as a way to improve on that. I'm going to stick to more of the meal planning by saving money this way. I'm not going to go out as much because I was unfortunately doing that for a little bit because I wasn't really getting down to a routine of make your breakfast, make your lunch, make your dinner. So that way you can have everything there. Go do your grocery shopping. So I really need to get the meal planning in check. I need to go to the grocery store to get that in check. Thereby, I'm not ending up going to buy things that, while great and tasty with takeout, do cost a little bit of money for different reasons, and therefore I'm not spending so much in that regard. I only spend once a week purchasing a coffee from a local shop, but otherwise I end up doing it at home, which works out fine. It's a good routine, but I really need to do that more with my grocery shopping and not do so much for takeout. And there's also the fact that I want to save money so that way I can have a better budget plan, know what's coming in, what's going out. And I use Kaikibo to do that. And it does work very well, but I really need to stick with it a little bit more, reassess my goals of what I want for the future. This year, I want to see if I can try to purchase a home because if they end up going down like they say they are, I want to be able to really purchase it, have some of it on hand. I want an emergency fund so that way I can really have everything that I need. I think my emergency fund is good now, but I think it could improve. So I need to put a little bit more money to that. I don't need to really buy anything new right now, which is good. So that way I can really save money there and be able to not do splurges or anything like that. And I really just need to save money and make better choices than I did in the past because I really need to make sure. And because I spent a lot of money for Christmas, because we had gifts and such, it's really good motivation to like, okay, what can I do in January to really just save money and not spend a lot? And this is all stuff I'm going to talk about in next week's video, and therefore you'll get a better idea of what I do. And full disclaimer, I'm not a financial expert or advisor, therefore I suggest doing your own research and consulting an actual expert or advisor. But I do hope that I can save more money so that way I can have a little bit more stability than I have in the last couple of months and be able to really think about the future and everything that I need because I'm 38 years old now and I really got to start thinking about retirement and where that's going to go. So, I'm going to save a little bit more money and see how that goes. And then there's being more social. I realize that I'm not as social as I should be. I'm an introvert and homebody. And while that's nice and can be very good for me, it's not something I completely want 100% of the time. I actually would like to be more social and have some kind of personal connection with people because I do have good relations with people in my book club, my family members for the most part, and at work as well. But I really don't have much of a social life outside of any of these things. And I want to at least improve on that. Last month, I was at a cafe waiting for my bagel to come and I was enjoying my latte. And this woman started a conversation with me. We'd never met before until then, but we started a conversation. She asked me a little bit of questions. I asked her some, and it was a nice, friendly conversation with a stranger. And it kind of hit me hard that I don't really have those conversations. I tend to be a little aloof. It's like, I'm here, I got to get going and moving, but I don't really take the time to really have a conversation with someone if I have the actual time. So it's something I really want to improve on and try to do. And it can be tricky because you never know who you're going to have these conversations with. Even though they are a friendly person, they might have a little bit more of a passive aggressive type personality. They might be a little bit too quiet. They might be completely aggressive or not. So that's always a big risk factor there. And I advise everyone to be careful when they do so. But I do think having those personal connections is important because it's really a foundation of being social and trying to have connections. Otherwise, I think we're stuck too much in your world. And while I appreciate, of course, everything that YouTube and this community has given me, I do think it's important to find a little bit more balance here and there. And that's what I'm hoping to improve on by just trying to strike up some conversations and also be important to get a feeling for their body language and facial expressions. If they don't look like they want to talk, I'm not going to try it. But if they do seem friendly enough and they try to engage with you, then that's always a good thing. What I also plan to do too is get outside of my book club. So I am thinking about joining some other things. I used to do kind of a paint and sip night a couple years ago, and I might want to go back and do that. And there's also some other activities that happen around town. So I'm actually hoping to go to this pub where I'm going to see a band play called Brass Attack, which was very nice because I have seen them perform before. So I might be going that this Saturday. I'm not really sure yet, but I might be doing that or something like it in the future. So that's a lot of things that I'm trying to think about with that, but I do have a plan to be more social and finding ways to improve that so I can have more personal connections and interactions. And the last one is to get my life a little bit more organized. I always say I'm going to do this, and it's such a struggle because I don't really want to get up to get my life as organized as it should. I do the best I can here with YouTube, but I'm not doing it very well with my own life. And I really want to improve that here on YouTube, but also in my own life. I want to get more organized. I tend to be a little bit of a clutter rat because I feel too much of the nostalgia, but I really have to break through. Think about the KonMari method, where what brings you joy and what doesn't bring you joy. And I'm going to go back to that. I know some people don't like that method, but there are people who do. And I think it is beneficial because you're looking around and seeing, this is nostalgic, but is it something I really want to need and going to use? I can feel the joy from it, but is it something that's going to bring me joy in the future? And is it something I want to keep around? Or is it something that I do feel joyful about and know I'm always going to look back on? Because you can see I got books over here galore, and I love my books and I enjoy them, but how much of them am I going to reread? Even though I like rereading some novels, there are some that I don't see the point of keeping to reread. So even those things I'm looking back and will donate because I do want to pass it on to someone else who will enjoy it. And the same thing goes with clothes because even though like clothes and some of the things, like I'm wearing a plain t-shirt today, I do think there are some clothes that I don't feel joyful anymore, don't fit me, things that I don't think are going to be in my style in the future or going to fit me in the future. You might want to have to let them go and, of course, donate them. I actually have a big pile of clothes that I did go through and am going to send off to donations because I want to. But I am thinking of selling them online, so that's something that's a little bit too much back and forth and I'm thinking on right now. But I am going to get rid of them because they don't really bring me joy anymore. I haven't used them in a few years. I don't see myself as using them again. And therefore, I'm going to get rid of them in some way, shape, or form, whether through donation or selling online for someone else to enjoy them. And then I'm also going to go through my jewelry box and get rid of papers that are not important and everything else like that because those are very important to me, especially digital declutter. But it's hard for me, I find, because even though I think it's vital to get rid of this stuff, it's also hard because I don't have the motivation to do so. So I really need to get the motivation to really organize my life. I can have this New Year's resolution to organize my life, but if I don't have the motivation to get to it and do things differently, it's always going to be just a resolution I'm going to fail at. So this is something I got to work on and what I need to improve as part of what the definition of New Year's resolutions is. And this is why I think it is important to have New Year's resolutions because they are goals you're setting for yourself. But what matters is, are you going to do them differently than you did last year? What is the motivation that you feel in making sure they are done differently so you can get to the resolutions that you want? And that's all I really have for now. Now, I'd like to hear what you think. What do you think about New Year's resolutions? Are they important? Do you have them? Is goals more important than resolutions? And what are they? Please leave your comments below. I'd love to hear from all of you, and I welcome all discussions. I thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back Sunday with a double book review, and I'll be back next Wednesday with another review, this time on budgeting and how I'm going to save my money, because I'd like to go over a little bit there to give some motivation to you, but also show you what I'm doing. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.